WWASP is a Utah-based group of companies advertising boot camp-style rehab for wayward adolescents. But are they offering attitude adjustment or abuse? U.S. Representative George Miller of California and the ranking Democrat on the House of Education and the Workforce Committee has sent several letters to both the U.S. Department of State and the U.S. Department of Justice expressing concern over alleged abuses at several WWASP schools. The closure of Casa by the Sea marks the 9th closing of a facility owned or managed by the Worldwide Association of Specialty Programs, Representative Miller wrote in a September 28 letter to Secretary of State Colin Powell. First, I will be introducing what the WWASP programs are. Secondly, the cause of their existence and the effects they have on both children and parents. And lastly, a few solutions on how we are trying to get them shut down. So what exactly is the WWASP? The Worldwide Association of Specialty Programs and Schools is a multi-million-dollar organization based in Utah in the United States. WWASP was founded by Robert Litchfield and was incorporated in 1998. They state that it is an umbrella organization of independent institutions for education and treatment of troubled teenagers. Maya Slavovitz noted the WWASP is connected to several affiliated for-profit companies. They are designed for children as young as 7 years old and up to 18 years old. The first federal inquiry into boot camps and wilderness programs for troubled teens cataloged 1,619 incidences of abuse in 33 states in 2005. So why would parents send their children to these places? According to John Gehring in an article on oversight sought for behavior-altering schools, some students put into these programs were straight-A students who had never been in trouble and who were happy and well-adjusted. Others needed help with self-esteem issues. Some children struggle with ADD, ADHD, oppositional defiance, gay issues, depression, and bulimia. The cause of this is because parents are being misled. Many parents feel they have nowhere to turn. Parents were lured by convincing websites, smooth-talking businessmen, glossy brochures, and marketing teams to send their child to these programs. Parents are convinced to give strangers power of attorney over their children and preteens. Some children are as young as even 7 years old and end up in the hands of people who are convinced parents would save their child, when in reality many of these children have been abused and neglected. Mary Ann Zare, in an article in Education Week, said, in their haste and desperation, parents relinquish their children to strangers and sometimes unknowingly sign away their parental rights. Parents were defrauded by people who promised to cure their child and provide their child with the education and therapy they needed. They were convinced that if they did not put their child in a program, their child would most likely die. These are a few pictures. This is Skyview Academy in Nevada. These are like girls' portables, guys' portables, a church and thing in here, and it's like in the middle of a Indian base. Indian like tribal land on one side and a Marine base on the other side. So any of the kids that kind of like escape or run away or do things like that, they have like a really high fine that gets paid, not fine, that gets paid to anyone who brings them back. So kids have gotten as far as 13 miles out in the middle of Nevada, nowhere, and been brought right back within a few seconds. So that's one of the programs. This is one of the bathrooms at one of the programs. This represents how they get there through transportation, which I'll talk about later. They handcuff the kids. A few scratches, bruises. There's at Casa by the Sea, there's a few instances of chemical burns. Some of the boys in one of the programs, and a few of the punishments they do. They have them tie their hands behind their back and lay on the floor for hours and things like that. Once in the program, many of the effects on the teens can be extremely damaging. According to Thomas Keller in his article published in Forbes magazine, the teens are incarcerated, are not given due process, lose their basic human rights, all contact with the outside world, and are humiliated and abused. Many programs have no privacy to use the restroom or shower. Many programs operate on a points-based system. The youth lose hard-earned points for small infractions such as dropping a fork on the floor or belching. In some facilities, children are severely punished for looking out the window, as it is considered a runaway threat. John Gehring noted in his article on behavior modification that this can result in severe trauma, anxiety, a huge financial loss, and loss of time spent actually trying to fix the behavior issue, and even in some cases, death. Transporting the teens is also a huge part of the trauma. While children sleep, they are abducted from their beds by teen escort services hired by their parents. In these private abductions, many parents are convinced by program staff that they should give teen escort services to transport their children, some as young as 7, to their facilities located in remote rural areas. Most staff are not licensed or regulated staff members. Maya Salovitz also notes in an article on how a cult-spawned tough love teen industry, many youth are unjustifiably handcuffed, restrained, or pepper sprayed in the process. Dangerous and unfair forms of punishment are a result of untrained staff performing dangerous restraints, resulting in physical harm and all too often in the death of a child. There is a huge financial loss as well. The average cost of a year at programs can be around $20,000. Parents are talked into refinancing their homes, drawing from their retirement, spending their child's college money, and even taking out long-term loans to pay for these programs. So what other alternatives are there out there? There are many other options for troubled youth, such as counseling and therapy. Mainly, I believe the solutions should come from as close to home as possible. It is not right to expect to ship kids off to a place you have never seen when you feel overwhelmed by the problems when they're teenagers. No one ever said having children was easy, especially teenagers, but it doesn't give us the right to pass out that responsibility onto total strangers. These programs have numerous incidents of hazing, physical and mental abuse, and even suicide. In an article, Too Tough Love, Ken Dillinan says, many organizations such as Pure have been working to help shut down these programs. About 8 programs are left standing, while even 3 years ago there were over 25 programs in the U.S. I hope that I have motivated you to participate in shutting these programs down, as well as educated you in how serious this issue is with our youth today. I strongly believe these programs should be completely shut down. These are a few of the programs that already have been shut down. These are the ones left, and that's just some of them that have been shut down in the past 3 or 4 years. I strongly believe these programs should be completely shut down, and there are private jails taking away a child's basic rights and collecting millions of dollars for it. The trauma of such abductions and imprisonments can last a lifetime.